So, Tom Pelphrey, we're talking to you about season 3 of Ozark. So, first off, do not watch this, Tom Pelphrey fans, until you have streamed all 10 episodes, because there are plenty of spoilers coming your way. So, having said that, Tom, boy, oh boy, I mean, you're in the opening scene in episode 1, excuse me, I'm still recovering from it, and your character just drives the action all season long. How much pressure is there on an actor joining like an existing show like Ozark?
Yeah, well, I was a fan of Ozark before I got this job. I really loved the show. I'd seen the first 2 seasons. I was a big fan. I think that there's a possibility that joining a new show like that, which is extremely well done and popular, could you could walk in feeling a certain amount of pressure. But I have to say, that said, Ozark, that job, that is a very special place to work. The atmosphere there is extremely calm, supportive, respectful, and I believe that that has been cultivated and curated on purpose from the top down, So Jason Bateman, obviously, Laura Linney, Chris Mundy, who's the showrunner. I have to say that was just about in every possible way a job could be good. That job was good, and that includes making me feel very welcome, making me feel like I'd been there with them from the beginning. So all of the pressure that I probably could or should have felt never really came up.
So you're talking about, I'm smiling because you're talking about this calm, supportive atmosphere off camera, but on camera, I mean, it's fever pitch. It must be physically and mentally exhausting doing the show in so many ways. I mean, this is, I think, some of the most intense drama I've seen in years, and to do, what is the shooting schedule? How many months were you doing it?
Yeah, we shot for 5.5 months, I suppose. We started in the beginning of May, and we shot until the end of October. So yeah, I suppose that's 5 months, maybe a little more than 5 months. Yeah, I mean, yes, for sure. By the end of that schedule, given the nature of the things that we were filming, I think all of us needed a break. I think everyone went home that weekend and slept for 48 hours straight. I mean, physically it starts to show up, like some people's backs are going out, people are starting to get sick, people are starting to get colds, but yeah, it was intense in a good way.
So we've talked a little bit about around this. So Ben, the character you play, Wendy's brother, Laura Linney's brother, is dealing with some mental health issues, but it's not obvious at the beginning. I mean, we see he's an intense person. We know he's got some issues. I'm so curious. Do you know when you sign on where it's going, that this is one season in and out for you? I mean, do you get the script, the whole script, all the scripts at once?
Yeah, I did know that this would be a season. You partly have that information because when you get a job like that, you're negotiating some kind of contract, and the contract has that kind of language in it. But then as far as the scripts go, no, I did not get all the scripts at once. But what did happen is, before I ever started filming, and this is a rare thing, I think, to have happened on a job, Chris Mundy, the showrunner, called me. And without me even reaching out or asking, because I'm so used to not being able to get this information, but Chris Mundy called me and talked me through the entire season for my character, which was incredibly helpful. I mean, incredibly helpful. And it also went a long way to making me feel very welcome and, making me feel like I was part of the team. So yes, I had the advantage of understanding where things were going, which was also really useful, because then it gave me time to do the research that I needed to do, so that all of a sudden one day I don't get a script and go, what, this is what we've been doing all along?
So the research, I mean, he's such a complicated man, Ben. And the way you convey that. So talk about that process. I know actors don't like talking necessarily about the intimacies of it, but the research you did, what kind of research did you do into Ben's condition?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to understand as much as I could, just objectively, about bipolar disorder. And there's an incredible book called An Unquiet Mind by Kay Jamison. And Kay it was studying mental health in the 70s, and she had bipolar and she didn't know it, even though bipolar was what she was studying. And some colleagues helped her realize what was going on with her, why her behavior was getting erratic, and she realized that she had bipolar and then started going on lithium. Anyway, the memoir is incredible because you have this intimate, almost journal of a woman who's suffering with bipolar, and she talks about the highs and she talks about the lows, and she talks about the cost it had for her in terms of jobs and family life and friends and relationships. And it's very honest and very vulnerable, which she shares. Simultaneously, she is a doctor, so she studies mental health, so she's also telling you what is happening scientifically. While she's sort of living through it again to share her experience, she's also the doctor commenting on it. So I mean, in terms of like research for something, I couldn't imagine a better source of information, because it's incredibly vulnerable and human and visceral, and at the same time you're also objectively getting facts and information, because of course bipolar, like anything really, affects each person differently, and there's so many variables that go into how it's going to affect someone at any given time. How much are they sleeping? What's their diet like? What is the stress level like at the time? Are they on their medicine? Have they been on their medicine for a while? All of these things are a factor. Alcohol, drugs.
It was just to watch, it was so compelling. And then what I was struck by was, so Ben interacts really, there's three women in his life in the Ozarks. There's Sister Wendy, there's Ruth, and then there's Helen. These three actresses are so different. And I mean, I'm just imagining for you, I mean, the experience. So I'd like to talk a little bit about each one, like with Laura Linney. I mean, the scenes between sister and brother. Do you have much time for rehearsing? Because you absolutely believe that they're brother and sister.
Yeah, no, we didn't have too much time for rehearsing. I got goosebumps when you brought up Laura. That is an incredible woman, and one of the most generous, open, kind human beings I've ever met. An incredible work ethic. She taught me a lot. I've been a fan of Laura's since I was young. One of the first Broadway shows I saw was her doing Sight Unseen. I've obviously seen her in all of her movies and the TV shows. And so, yes, I came in with a great deal of respect and admiration for Laura, and she did not disappoint. She was incredibly open and warm with me right from the beginning. So you say, like, it seemed like we were really brother and sister, and I had, so much of that is on her, and how generous she was with her time and her affection and her talking to me about work and making me feel like I was at home and that I belonged there. And so, yeah, that went a long way towards, I think, what ended up on screen.
Oh, absolutely. And then, I mean, this young talent, Emmy winner for last season, Julia Garner.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a force of nature, this firecracker. And and I mean, the chemistry between the two of you, I mean, it's combustible. And you so understand why Ben makes the decisions he does.
Yeah.
Going off the meds, risking it all for her. Just talk a little bit about working with her and just this. And I got to point out, a New Yorker. This is what I think was when I looked her up, because immediately on Google, and this is a girl who's born in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, she's exactly what you said. She's a force of nature. And another person who reached out to me before we started filming and met up, and we talked about the characters and we talked about work, and again made me feel very comfortable. But yeah, I loved working with Julia, and I loved watching her work and watching her process and watching just the explosions and the things that they were catching on camera that she's capable of doing, which is really impressive. And obviously, it almost doesn't even need to be said. But yes, I love working with her. And then as far as the actress goes, a lot of our scenes were kind of intense, but when we weren't filming, Julie and I were sitting off camera laughing. She has a wonderful sense of humor, and we got along well. And so it was a nice balance of intensity with the work, but able to kind of relax and laugh when we're not working.
Now, I have to imagine the most intense moments for you, and we're probably in that cab, in the backseat, that sort of ongoing monologue as you're heading towards Helen's house. Was that all scripted?
Yep. That was all written by Mickey, one of the writers. Yeah.
It's extraordinary, and I think it's in today's world of television, everything's so fast paced, and cuts and scenes have to be short. But what a gift is it for an actor? Because I imagine, was that a day-long shoot? I mean, how long were you sort of sitting there in that backseat of the cab?
Yeah, we filmed that. I mean, we were probably in the backseat of the cab for like 3 or 4 hours. But yes, that is an incredible, beautiful piece of writing. And yes, it was an honor and a gift to get to show up to work to say writing like that. And yes.
Well, yeah. Well, what's wonderful
Yeah,
on
Netflix, it's incredible. It's poetic, it's honest, it's true to the circumstances of the time. It is layering in the impediment. And it's just gorgeous. I mean, some of the lines could be extracted and you could write them on a wall. I thought that was one of the most beautiful pieces of writing I'd gotten to do ever, and I let her know that. And so and that was a really exciting day to go to work. And we also had Alex Sakharov directing, and he's a beautiful director. And so that experience was pretty special.
And what I was going to say is that what I love about Netflix is, I mean, at the end of that episode, I immediately went back and watched that again because it's building up. He's almost like this prize fighter or something. I mean, he knows what he's about to go do, this confrontation with Helen. So just Janet McTeer, yet another, I mean, leading lady of the West End, Oscar nominee. I mean, that one scene, I watched it just before we started talking now. That's probably why I'm so worked up, because it's just incredible the way he then comes in there and destroys her life. And does he know what that price he's going to pay? I was fascinated to know if he understood.
Yeah, I think I think that he does understand, because Ben is very intelligent, but there's a certain point at which he believes that whatever the fallout is worth correcting what's been wrong. And that's sort of a tragic flaw, I suppose, or maybe a tragic feature of that character, which is he believes in things being right. And obviously he's in the middle of a world where that's not most people's priority.
Yeah. So we talked about all the wonderful women of Ozark, but I got to talk to you about Jason Bateman a little bit, because he directs the first couple of episodes. Now, I know filming is always out of order or stuff. Was he your first director on Ozark, Jason?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And I'm always so interested. So what's it like being directed by somebody who's then an actor in, say, a scene with you? I mean, how is it? I'm fascinated. Well,
with Jason, you almost don't even notice that he's directing you, because he's so good at it. He's such first of all, just again, a lovely human being. I hate to sound like I'm repeating myself, but that job is very special. The people that work there are top notch in all the ways. And so with someone like Jason, we're sitting there doing a scene, half of the scene's taking place outside. He's directing, plus he's in the scene. He'll go outside, give everyone some notes, come back in, maybe give me a note before he starts, and then they're rolling, and he's thinking as a director. He's got to drive the scene as an actor, and then he'll turn to me and start telling jokes until they say action. So his ability to focus, his ability to multitask and hold multiple things in his attention simultaneously without ever getting ruffled. I never saw him get flustered even. Like, he was calm, he was focused, he was funny. It was amazing to watch. I really have a great respect and admiration for his ability to sort of be the captain of the ship in a very kind of calm and funny way. And like, when you're doing scenes with him, his notes were so smart and so easy. They were so subtle. It was just like always kind of encouraging, but oh, I love that. Maybe a little this, but we'll just see. Let's just try this, blah, blah. And it's all so easy with Jason that it's the sort of experiences like you're there working with him and he's directing you, and all of a sudden it's like the end of the day and you're like, did we do anything? Like, it was so easy. It never felt like tense or anxious or here we go, He's so calm and in control. It really makes you feel safe, and you can kind of give over to that. It's nice.
Well, we're an awards website, so I got to take you back a decade now. It's unbelievably a decade that Guiding Light went off the air. And you were there till the end. And boy, for your efforts, 4 Emmy nominations in a row and 2 Emmy wins for Best Younger Actor.
Uh-huh.
So I guess, you aged out of that. Just people watching this know you. Some of them will know you from that. What just memories of those Emmys, the wins, what it meant to you to be recognized by your peers?
Yeah, I mean, it was really that whole experience was really incredible. I got Guiding Light maybe a month out of graduating college, and that is not common. Like, you leave acting school and you figure, who knows when you'll get your first job and how you'll have to work your way up. And I got that job and it was incredible. And then, pretty quickly getting nominated for Emmys and having that kind of recognition for your work was a very kind of heady experience. And I mean, the first Emmy that I got nominated for, the Emmys that year, were in New York in Radio City Music Hall. Right. And so I grew up in New Jersey. So the first year I was nominated for the Emmy, I didn't win.
Oh.
Well, 40 people came.
Oh, no. No. And they're way up.
40 people came to Radio City Music Hall from New Jersey, friends and family, to support me. Like, not just my friends, like my friends' parents came.
Oh, no.
And then like afterwards, I somehow, somebody was nice to me. I got them all into the after party.
Oh, wow.
It was ridiculous. It was like they literally should have rented a bus.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. But then where were the ceremonies the 2 times you won?
At the Kodak in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's interesting. That's where they have the Oscars.
Right.
And I got to talk to you. I know just tiny little bit about Mank. Speaking of Oscars, so you're going to be in this David Fincher film, and you're playing Joseph Mankiewicz, right? Mm-hmm. Brother of Herman Mankiewicz. The film's based on him and his relationship with Orson Welles and the writing of Citizen Kane. So you're playing Joseph Mankiewicz, who ends up winning a bunch of Oscars.
Yeah.
And directs Letter to the Three Wives and All About Eve. Just tiny little tease on that. What if anything, will David Fincher allow you to say about Mank? And it might be nothing, I understand.
Well, yeah, I haven't talked at all about that, but I will say just what the little bit he showed so far is absolutely gorgeous. And Gary Oldman is incredible.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. And maybe we'll be talking to you about Mank in the fall, hopefully, if everything rights itself and movies start getting released the way they should. But listen, thank you. And thank you for that performance in Ozark. I mean, it really, boy, I think this is the trouble with streaming, because I think we sat down to watch 1 episode, which became 4 that night, and 4 the next night, and then 2 and more. I mean, it's just extraordinary. So thank you for that.
I really appreciate you having me on. Thanks. Nice to meet you, Paul.
Bye-bye.